Previously on the Chronicles of Arsenal.
Look at me. Look at me. Do not even think it. It ain't happening. Over the last few weeks, I have heard way too many people say, "Oh, this could be Arsenal's year." These people have either not seen how our off-season has gone, or are federal agents. Or I'm just being very pessimistic. Now, before I go into my reasonings though, this is kind of like an Arsenal preview video, so let's just do a brief preview of the off-season so far, and also the preseason matches that have happened. We'll start like we usually do, with the players that have been loaned out so far. Estonian keeper Karl Hein to Real Valladolid, Albert Sambi Lokonga goes to Seville for a year, dog lover Nuno Tavares to Lazio, and Fabio Vieira, after not really being able to break into the first team, hopes a loan to former club Porto will reignite his fire. On to the permanent transfers now. Another keeper I had no idea we had, Arthur Okonkwo, moves to Wrexham on a free. 20-year-old midfielder Charlie Patino moves to Deportivo La Coruña for $1 million. This one hurt a bit because I truly thought one day he'd be able to climb up the ranks of the senior team and become a star. He had a lot of potential, but I don't think the club did a very good job managing him, so all the best, kid. Longtime veteran and one of the last footballers to have played under Arsene Wenger in this team, Mohamed El Neni, leaves for the UAE to play for Al Jazeera. No, not the news channel. El Neni was one of those late 2010 signings that we all kind of gaslit ourselves into thinking was a good move because Wenger never really made many moves in the later stages of his career. That said, while he never really was that impressive, he always put the crest first. And I'll never forget that period in 2021-22 when everyone else was injured in the midfield and he was immediately up to the task and played some of his best football at the club. Emile Smith-Rowe, after a couple of years of having his career wasted away by Arteta, finally changes scenery and moves to West London to play for Fulham. This one hurt a lot for me because Smith-Rowe popped up on the scene during our darkest period as a glowing light of hope. He was an absolute joy to watch, whether it was a burst of acceleration or he was just simply gliding past players. The ball just stuck to his foot no matter what. A core memory of mine is going absolutely bonkers after seeing Smith-Rowe open the scoring against Spurs in 2021. It was like the first signs of actual hope, the first signs of change, the first signs of Arsenal actually not being a banter club for once. And that's just one of many memories I have of this wonderful talent. So long, Emile. You're going to do amazing things at Fulham. Now on to the imports for this upcoming season. First has to be David Raya, as his deal was a loan with an obligation to buy. Last season, he won the most fraudulent Golden Glove I've ever seen, but hey, for $31.9 million, he's still a much better option between the sticks than Aaron Ramsdale. Then towards the end of July, after the 80 different agreement to personal terms tweets from the winner T-Shippa clone, Oraman Riccardo Calafiori joined for $45 million on a 4-year deal. And within the first 10 minutes of the announcement, many Gunners had an awakening, per se. Arteta will for sure be Calafiori dreamin' because this guy, just like every other defender at this club, is excellent on the ball. During his time at Bologna, the centre-back was absolutely crucial to the team's build-up play and was so good technically that he'd sometimes shift into a midfield role. Also, Calafiori's stature looks almost perfect for the Premier League. He definitely won't be bullied around. Now, this all said, a lot of the motivation for this signing comes from his performances during the Euros. He was good in Serie A, don't get me wrong, but, you know, just be careful. Just recently, we finally completed the signing of midfielder Mikel Merino from Real Sociedad for $32 million. Spanish midfielder to Arsenal, and his name isn't Denis Suarez or Dani Ceballos. I could cry tears of joy, honestly. The Arsenal midfield was in need of one more piece. Jorginho's been alright as a closer, but thank God Arteta actually made a move this window. Mikel Merino is a box-to-box midfielder that excels defensively, and that will complement Declan Rice very well. However, Merino loves to go forward as well. He's aggressive in the press and could help be the middleman between Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard to provide a more fluid build-up. He also tends to play towards the left, which means he could support both Martinelli and whoever plays left back, whether that's Zinchenko, Calafiori, Yuri and Timber, whoever. So welcome, Mikel. Once a Gunner, always a Gunner. Alright, let's see. Any other signings we've made? Maybe like a clinical striker? No? Okay, well, yep, that's it. On to the friendlies next. We'll do this real quick. We started with a game in DC against Bournemouth of all teams, drew 1-1, and Thomas Partey found himself the closest he will ever be to heaven. The Gunners then played United in Los Angeles. They conceded early, but then came back to win 2-1, only to lose on penalties. Wait, what? Arsenal then lost to Liverpool in Cheesesteak Land, but were able to bounce back and beat the German Invincibles Bayer Leverkusen 4-1. Now, don't look too deep into this, okay? This is like the Denver Broncos having a pretty good preseason, or the Virginia Tech football team actually being highly rated by journalists. They will win it all, though. Then to cap off the 2024 friendly season, we beat Lyon to win our first bit of silverware, the Emirates Cup. People have said we've gone trophyless for the past 4 years. I beg to differ. Now that that's out of the way, let's look at the team that we have for this season. Starting in defense, by far the best in the league, yet again. William Saliba and Gabriel are one of the best center back pairings in the world. And Saliba just keeps skyrocketing in quality. It's honestly unbelievable how calm he is in the most dire situations. And that depth at center back is just insane because of the versatility of quite literally every defender we have. Jakub Kivior, Ben White, Takahiro Tomiyasu, Ricardo Calafiori, any of those players can all play center back. We also got Jurrien Timber back, and he's survived past 30 minutes so far, so I feel like he should be okay. Fullback situation could still be a bit of a question though. In right back, you got Ben White as the main starter and Takahiro Tomiyasu as a backup. However, Tomiyasu has had so many injuries kind of just chip away at his consistency over the years. And speaking of which, he is injured right now. But if I'm being honest, I don't even really think Ben White is that good. And he especially annoys me anytime he starts supporting Bukayo Saka. Saka will be like covered by 3 defenders and Ben White will do nothing. At least left back though looks a lot more promising now that we're not limited to just Alexander Zinchenko, who fell off a cliff last season. There's Jurrien Timber, who just recently played in the role, and Ricardo Calafiori. But I need to see more from them to really make any judgment. But at least in goal, David Raya has started this season spectacularly. 2 clean sheets so far, but more importantly, he's actually made some really good saves. Let's just hope that continues and we don't see any of those errors he made last season. Over the midfield, Declan Rice was an iron wall of protection for the backline. Was incredible in the air, excelled defensively in ball recoveries and interceptions, and he even had 15 goal contributions, the most in a single season for him. Easily one of the best performers last season. And he'll have a little less on his plate to deal with now that we have another master of ball recoveries in Mikel Merino. And Jorginho is still a decent option at 32. If you need someone to close a game, he's your man. On to the attack. This is where the cracks really start to form for me. Martin Odegaard had a magnificent season for us, and his ability to just defy all logic and physics to play in a forward is genuinely mesmerizing. Last season, he had 8 goals, 10 assists, and averaged the 3rd most shot creating actions per 90. And also watch out for 17-year-old Ethan Nwaneri, I think that's how you say his name. He's featured on the bench a couple times for the club, so it's only a matter of time that we see more of him. Then you have the star boy, the golden child, Bukayo Saka. I wouldn't even say he had the best support last season, and he still had his best season to date. 16 goals, 9 assists. I love the guy. The most impressive fact though is that over the last 3 seasons, he's barely missed any games. Once again, insane. But you know who's also insane? Mikel Arteta. Why is there still no proper backup for Bukayo Saka? We're gonna make him look like Pedri in 2021. I don't get it. We have money. We don't have to risk anything here. We do not have to overwork this poor child. I don't want to jinx anything, but there's a reason why every time Saka goes down, everyone holds their breath for an abnormal amount of time. Anyways, on the other side, we have Gabriel Martinelli, and I'll be honest with you, my patience is running out with him. He's very direct and aggressive in the way he takes on defenders, but the problem now is that he can't really beat them. I'm just saying, if he doesn't get out of this rut that he's been in since the end of the 2022-23 season, it might be time to move on. Thankfully though, at least there's a backup behind him, Leandro Trossard. Quite honestly, he should be the starter. Trossard had 12 goals last year, and he's already added 1 to this campaign. Speaking of goal scoring, up top, we have 2 days left in this transfer window as of this recording. I don't really expect us to make any more signings, considering the other signings took us about 18 eons. We still do not have a proper finisher in 2024. Kai Havertz put up good numbers last season, but I wouldn't really say he's the answer. And Gabriel Jesus, Christ. I'm sorry, but I personally think you're a fool if you think we can beat Manchester City with these guys in the year 2025 when they have this guy. Like, I've had my criticisms about the milk drinking merchant, but at least he can score more than 20 goals. And perhaps this is a good segue into my point for making this video in the first place. Arsenal are not winning the league this season. It's not gonna happen. Do not get your hopes up. Up to this point, I would say that if there was any chance for us to have won the league, it was last season. That was our chance, because we were lucky with the injury gods. Manchester City didn't have De Bruyne for half a season, and they struggled quite a bit through 2/3 of the season. They were even once in 4th in the league. Can you imagine that? And sure, we might have been kind of unlucky to have lost the title on the final day because of one loss in 2024. But I think people kind of forget that we wussed out against Man City late into the season. Thing is, right, especially in the Premier League, you have to beat the best to be the best, and we half-assed it. After a good few months of reflecting upon that season, that was our golden chance. Like I said before, Man City is a team that is just built for winning league titles. And if you can't beat a team that is so calculated in the way it moves at its weakest, then I really just can't see it any other way. I feel like people also underestimate the mental fatigue that occurs during these title races. Arsenal went through 2 grueling title races, lost both. That has to affect them at some point this season. Not to mention, you might have forgotten that this year's Champions League is a little different. The format has now made it so that teams will be playing even more games earlier on, and also against tougher opponents. That's kind of why UEFA bought into this format. I don't think Arsenal's defense will have any problem whatsoever. It's pretty formidable. You could probably punch it with an iron fist and would still fight back and kill you. But the rest of the team, I'm just not sure. Whether that's injuries or just fatigue in general, especially since once again, Bukayo Saka is playing by himself. There's no one besides Reece fucking Nelson behind him. To really sum this up, I don't think we've done enough to overcome Manchester City this year. And it's nice that we got a new defender, and a midfielder was something that I really wanted to, but it's crazy to me that we didn't even bother looking into a clinical finisher. So, to close this off, my prediction for Arsenal's fate in the Premier League this season is more than likely a bit of an off-season. They'll still probably finish second, but it is going to be a bit of a difference in quality this time around compared to Man City. However, then next season, we make the right moves, build upon what happened last year, get ourselves a clinical striker, and that is when we finally lift the trophy. Maybe that's just hopeful thinking. I don't know. But I cannot see it, I cannot see us winning the league this season. Do not get your hopes up. And if I'm proven wrong and Arsenal actually manage to win the league this season, I will happily be the first person, jubilantly will be the first person to admit that I was wrong. I will climb up buildings, sing into a megaphone that I was wrong. Because I want nothing more than to actually experience what it's like to win the title, man. But you know what? Anyways, a massive thank you to all our members, including Janos Barash, Brazilian Fury, Respect the Jeff, Uthman JN, Habakkuk, Anazir Makalankam, Alex Rod, Ulta, Miguel Munoz, Return Fire, Rowie Burns, Slider Kid, Snifferx, Taco Okafan, The Cypriot 35, Not Windows 95 Man, Kentra Agatra, Big Boris the Baby Eater II, Kerbo, Unkwell, St. Terrence, Sylvia Citrus, Ryan Jans, Wise Orange, Rashard Enthusiast, Cocosaurus Rex, LeJames Braun, Samu, Just MRC, Cheesebait, Cooper Rory, Smalley Pirates, Playmore Roomba, Winder Gel, M4 Does Stuff, Finn Likes Rugby More, Davox, The Portergeyser, TPSK25, Polar Protos, Von Fan, Lucian Von Croix, Ethan Bennett Loves Kavicha, Gazegos Brestokiewicz, Mono Tango Fei, Adrian, A Ghostly Owl, Coney Wolves, Mud Tenai, Nava, Chris Visconsi, Dominic Griffin, Kyler Krebs, Mohammed Altanib, Niche, Patrick Barley, Raspberry God 5, Raspberry Ale, subscribe to 10 Day Tim, and Unbroken Persona. If you'd like to become a member, there'll be a link down below and up in the annotations. You can follow my Twitter if you want, follow my Instagram if you like, follow my Twitch, gonna be streaming a little bit more, but until then, I'll see you guys.